Hello, if you can hear me or see me, I am attempting to see if anyone's coming. This is Katie's Corner in Space. I'm attempting a live chat with some of the members who have kindly donated some cash towards this channel and have always commented and had some really great things to say. So if you'll just hold on with just one moment, I'm trying to see if everything is set up properly. And according to this, it all is. If you've watched this channel try to go live a few times, there's almost always a hiccup as I'm trying to get a hang of how to not only work all of this stuff, but trying to teach myself how to ensure things go smoothly. Usually they don't, but I still try. I am expecting at least Bev and Boulder to show up for a candid conversation about this fandom we have all just become a part of, rather from reading the books or from enjoying the many views of Sam Heughan, or just the history of it, sometimes the comedy of it. And as much fun as you guys have listening to me talk every week, I don't want to have just a conversation with myself. So I am trying to hold on and see if some of our members join us. And always feel free to type something in the comments. There we have Bev. Should be joining us here in just a moment. If you have any questions or just want to hear something specific discussed, then let me know, because this is pretty much a free-for-all on whoever wants to chat about whatever we may want to chat about. And you can see Bev is coming in now. Hi, Bev. We can see you. If you want to keep your camera on, that's great. Just want to let you know.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah?
All
Can
right.
you hear me?
I can, Bev. I just wanted to let you know that your camera was also showing you as well. Did you want me
Well,
to?
yeah, that's okay. I look a
Okay.
little better than yesterday. I never look very good because I meant to close the curtain. If well, someone else was going to be here. Did you see? Someone else replied to your.
I did, but I've said before, this is only, we've tried this a couple of times for the Trek conversations with my sister. Something always seems to go a little bit wrong. I'm still not positive that YouTube sees us, but as far as my system says, everything is going as it should. Yeah,
And
who?
I can see you and hear you just fine. And now you have, is that baby Yoda behind you?
Yes, this is Grogu is behind me today. He's right here too as well.
I don't really know about Baby Yoda because I never watched that movie.
It's yeah, the TV series The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. I grew up with Star Wars and Star Trek. My dad took me to see Star Wars. My mom was very Star Trek, so I grew up with both. That I love them both. So yeah, I've got a lot of Star Trek, Star Wars memorabilia.
Right. I'm trying to see who else that was supposed to be getting in here.
Yeah, I was checking that as well. I didn't want to be rude.
Was it
Not.
a reply on your on your post about
Yeah. Yeah.
Sam's birthday?
Yeah. It's Brittany.
Okay.
She
I
says
knew it
she's
was one of those trendy names.
a trendy name. I was gonna.
Courtney or Brittany.
I guess that was for the sort of trendy for my generation. We had a lot of Britneys. Heather was really popular. Yeah. The, so right now it is just you and I. If you would let kind of go in what you were telling me about your background and how you got into Outlander.
Oh, well, I told you I'm a history major. And the only reason I got the master's degree is at the time I needed to do in those days you did the teaching certification in your last semester of undergraduate. And when I hit that time, people in the class before me couldn't get teaching jobs
Oh,
because we were baby boomers and the baby boom ran out. So there were all of us training to teach, and they were beginning to close elementary schools and high schools because the
really?
baby boom, yeah. Not we're talking 19 I graduated college in 71.
Okay.
So I instead of doing that teacher certification, I started applying to graduate schools and I had a not a fellowship, a teaching assistantship. So it
Okay.
didn't cost me anything for that first year of graduate school. It didn't cost much altogether.
Okay.
And and I learned early in my college career that you had to major in something that you were really interested in because I was originally going to major in French. And I did take a lot of French, but I realized very early on that you have to really be dedicated to what you're majoring in. That's why all these kids nowadays that major in business, it's like they don't have any direction. Maybe you majored in business.
No, no, I majored in computer sciences.
Oh, well, that was highly commercial. That's what they call, and marketable. That's what they started calling. In my day, you majored in your, like I said, the thing you were most really passionate about. And
Right.
I'm passionate about history. I'm getting a little rusty on dates these days,
Well,
but
how did you find Outlander? Did a friend tell you about the?
I belong to the Doubleday Dollar Book Club. Book
Okay.
clubs were a thing. And it was by far not a dollar book club anymore by the time Outlander came out. Um, I don't even want to guess how much the books were. But when Dragonfly came out, and I'm messing with my cannula, I'm sorry, that's got to be gross.
It's all right. You know
When
what? We spent a whole
Dragonfly
year
came
going computer.
out, they offered Outlander too.
Okay.
So I bought both.
Okay.
And I, I, I read Outlander. I was very disappointed at first because I ordinarily do not like first person stories told in first person.
Okay.
But I'd never read a Diana book written in first person because she puts you in the heads of everybody else,
That's
which most of the time you don't get without. In fact, she ruined me for reading other authors for years.
Could you just get so used to that style?
Well, and she was so her prose is so dense. I didn't think I'd ever run into another author that wrote as densely. I mean, with all the details and things that she provides you, the smells, the sounds.
Just those details that take you there.
Yeah, they really put you in this scene.
Okay.
Until I ran into George Martin, and that man desperately needs a copy editor. Well, have you ever heard Diana talk about her writing process?
Oh, yes.
Because
She
she has
writes the
that last
story,
step.
has oh go ahead.
She has that last step that she calls slash and burn.
Yes.
George Martin doesn't do that.
Well, speaking as someone who has dabbled in a little writing myself, it is hard to get rid of parts that touch you, but you know don't really go with the story. You end up trying to find a way to squeeze it in there, and then your editor gets rid of it anyway.
Yeah, I, I get that. The only thing that annoys me about Diana is, by God, she did the research, and you're gonna hear about it.
I don't blame her though. That is a lot of time she put in to make sure it was as close to accurate as possible.
That's true, but sometimes she goes off on this sort of tangent that isn't really necessary to the
This is
story.
true. Was it you and I who were talking about Jean M. Owl as well? She gets so detailed in the descriptions, it makes you go, I don't need 5 pages of the grass is green.
I I read this first few of her books, but then she got permanent writer's block, and I bought the last book, but I never read it because you know
Don't say anything. I read like halfway through and I quit. I couldn't get into it. No, I was going to say when it comes to her details, I think there was a funny story that she told about the witch trial. She wanted this witch trial in her story, and then she went to do the research and found out that the last witch trial that ever happened in that area was like 40 years beforehand. And her husband was the one who says, "No one cares. Just leave it. It'll be fine."
it's well he reminded her that this book starts with time travel,
Yes.
so readers are likely to have suspended disbelief.
You would think so. People wouldn't get nitpicky on the little things, but I can tell you, as a member of several fandoms, people can get picky about just the most ridiculous thing. You know, they put on the tartans exactly the way they put on the tartans 200 years ago. You know, somebody was out there checking to make sure nobody had a hem in the wrong place to complain about it.
Well, um, and Diana's research went as far as she could at that time. That's because the TV show has corrected some of the errors that she had, like the tartans.
Yes.
You know, they flipped that. You've read the books now, haven't
I've
you?
read the books, yes.
All of them?
I'm up to I have not finished her last book. I'm doing a slow read because I know it's going to be forever before we get the next one.
I'm about 100 pages in it, and I've been stuck there
That's
for
kind of
over
what.
a year. It's because she didn't leave us a cliffhanger. She tied everything up so neatly. And I don't have anything like I have to know, I have to find out if Jamie killed Lord John, like that was the last cliffhanger in the previous book ending.
I get so
And don't ask
interested.
me,
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, I don't even remember which book that was now, where we were worried about Lord Jamie
Johnson.
killing Lord John.
Yeah, I think that was. I want to say the end somewhere in 8. I have to go through and read them again though. I
Well,
have.
no, 8 was the book that I had to read immediately because the new one is 9, right?
Yes.
So it's 7. And like I used to be able to look up at my bookshelf and see the books in order. But yeah, what can I say?
Somebody messed with your stuff. You got to get that fixed.
My problem is, as you can see, I don't breathe very well. And I also don't, my back, I had a spinal fusion in my lumbar spine almost 10 years ago. July 29th will be 10 years. And I've been having trouble with the level above where the fusion was for a long time. And that always happens. They tell you that to begin with. Because if you make this rigid, the stress is all going to be on the joints above and below the ones that are fused. Anyway, but now I think I'm beginning to need to have the fusion redone. And I need to lose weight.
Well, we're all there, hon. I do laps, and I'm not sure it's working. I think my pants were actually tighter today than they were 2 weeks ago.
You know, never. I was going to say muscle. Muscle isn't bigger than fat. Muscle is heavier than fat.
It is, but it shouldn't be bigger. Yes.
No, it shouldn't.
I was wondering if you could tell me more about. You said you belonged to one of the first Outlander fan groups that
The
was
first.
the first
The
one.
first.
Now, how did you find them, and how did that even come
Well,
about?
Diana led me to them
Okay.
in the acknowledgments or of one of the books,
Okay.
and I want to say drums maybe or fiery cross. had
Okay.
to be one of those two.
So pretty early
She
on.
was because they had she had a lot of contact. We used to have chats with her when chat rooms. There were these chat rooms where you could go.
Okay.
I, they became very unstable. I find I belonged to one. We called it FNI, Friday Night Insanity, and I quit trying to go to that because I would just about get logged in and say hi to everybody because you had the etiquette was you had to say hi to everybody when you came in and you had to say goodbye before you when you were leaving. But I couldn't maintain a connection and it got too frustrating. So I don't know what was up, but this is a long time ago.
Yeah, chat rooms, as far as chat rooms working in a way that I recall, would have been something about 25 years ago. I used to go in MSN chats a lot and uh, meet fans of stuff there. Is that what
Yeah,
you're talking about? Kind of
yeah,
Yahoo chat,
yeah,
MSN? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
That's really
One of the
cool.
go ahead, you ask the question. I talk too much.
You're fine. This is supposed to be a fan chat. I'm just trying to talk about Outlander. But I was just wondered, um, how cool was that to actually be able to talk to the author, though? Because I mean, I have to pay a lot of money and stand in lines to be able to say hi, Diana. So I'm wondering, you had got to have
I've
conversations.
done that too. Um, well, we had to type the questions. This is the funny thing. Her handle on these things was big books.
Huh. That's great, though. Nobody guessed that
I
was
know
it.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect. But you had to type the question, and I made the mistake of that's the other thing. Diana, terrible with timelines, terrible. And as a history person, I've had to just go, not going to pay attention to that, not going to let it bug me. Because if you look at the timeline, when she tells Jamie that she has to let he has to let Blackjack live another year,
Yeah.
that's not right.
Yeah.
He would have had to be, it would have had to be longer than that.
Maybe she just wasn't great at math.
No, she freely admits that she's not good at timelines. And she doesn't have anybody who helps her. You know, that's one thing that George Martin does that Diana doesn't do is he has a lot of fans that help him
To help him out.
keep things straight. Have you ever read A Game of Thrones?
I tried to get through the first book. I couldn't. I enjoyed the
I
television
don't.
series though, which is weird because usually it's both or neither, and so
Well, I read the books because Sean Bean was going to be in. I'm a huge Sean Bean fan.
okay.
And actually, I learned about him really from the ladies, that first fan group is called the Ladies of Lallybrook.
Okay.
And they're still out there. And, but they moved to all of the discussion about the TV show into Facebook. And I'm just against social media on general principles, and I'll give up talking to them because if you go to the original message board, there's just somebody puts up a quote of the day, and I mean it's just nothing anymore.
So
I
no
quit
more
going
discussions.
there. It was too depressing.
Yeah. I do miss the old days of the chat rooms, of being able to just go, I feel like talking about this today, and you just go in there and generally decent people are there, or at least like-minded, and you can just babble on for a half hour about a question you had about a character in scene 3 of episode 4 or book 4, and you could have figure out why they did that, and you can't really do that now. YouTube is as close to that's half the reason I started this channel. My family was sick and tired of me talking about Outlander and Star Trek, so I thought I'd find people who didn't mind.
Well, that's what those chat. Well, you started with TV show, so it was a different experience.
It's very much.
But the ladies of Valley Rock really confirmed to me that I wasn't insane because, not seriously, because I read Outlander. I read the end of that thing so fast. And it had been marketed to me in those days, in the early 90s, as a romance. I said, this isn't a romance. Things like this don't happen in romances.
Yeah.
And I had the next book waiting, and I turned around and I reread Outlander.
Nice.
My first copy of Outlander, that was, they used to have a book club sized novel. They're about that tall, much smaller book.
Okay.
I wore it out. I had to replace it. I'm not kidding. I
I
had to
think I
throw it
remember you
away.
messaging that and mentioning that in a comment once.
Yeah,
So then, how many times do you think you've read each book?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
No, I've read the early books, Outlander, Dragonfly, Voyager, much more than and even Fiery Cross, much more than I've read the later books. That's why I can't pinpoint. I don't, and a lot of the things when they happen in the series, I go, oh, I remember that. Or sometimes I go, was that in the book?
Yeah, I find myself saying that a lot, but I've only read the books one time through. I'm trying to work on time to actually do it some more, but that's my own problem. So now,
And
when
I was working the whole time I was doing this.
how
I
long?
read all those early books because we had to wait for them. Think about the end of Dragonfly. We had to wait 2 years for Voyager to come out. It was
Yeah,
painful.
that's a long wait.
And, and of course, that's why when you get the new book, you just inhale it, or I do.
What's the fastest you read a book the first time through?
3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days? Yeah. It, and that's why you were working as well, yes?
Yes, because that was I would read all weekend unless it was football season, and that put a spanner and a monkey wrench in the works.
Seasonal
But
priorities, I understand.
um,
What
anyway,
in the next season, in the seventh season, what are you looking forward to? Any particular storyline and seeing how they'll put it on screen?
well, they've already given a foreshadowing
Yes.
of the God, I can't even think of his name. I just have these word finding. My friend who used to work for a neuro psychologist tells me it's just word finding. It's not Alzheimer's or anything like that.
I think we all have that. That's
Um,
why I write scripts, because if I just did this on the fly, I'd be sitting there going, his oh, it's the stuff on his head. It's red. I can't remember the name. I'd forget the word
hair,
hair in the middle of it. Yeah.
Tom Christie, the whole Tom Christie falling in love with Claire. That was that. There, people are going to be so gobsmacked by that. And
And
that's an expression I picked up from being a Sean Bean fan.
oh, okay, gobsmacked. Gotcha. I'm interested to see. Well, I mean, we already know about the newspaper, but it's I want to see that moment too, where again, Christy and the newspaper, the connection of. I want to see that moment.
I don't remember that exactly.
Well, somebody put the notice in the newspaper about the fire and the loss of all the people at the house,
Yeah.
and I want to see that moment. And how because it's how all this craziness of Bree going back to save her parents happened in the first place. If they hadn't had such a shoddy printer, and I love that Jamie's got, oh, shoddy workmanship of the printer.
Of course he would.
Oh, I
The-
have to
You
take a
know,
moment. Happy birthday, Sam Heughan. It's his birthday today, and I meant to wear a little party hat, but I didn't. So I just want to say happy
happy
birthday.
birthday, Sam. Um, I
I
think
would.
it's really interesting that he and Jamie are both Tauruses.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah, maybe that's why he plays him so well. Gets the personality so dead
Well,
on.
that's entirely possible. That kind of, what is it? Claire calls him stubborn as a rock.
Yeah.
The Frasers.
Oh, so funny. I'm excited to see the discussions through time between the two families once some traveling takes place. Do you remember the messages that are sent uh, by the families? And one side can send them and the other side receives them. Obviously, there can't be any conversation back. But do you recall how?
Well, they have letters or a journal, don't they, Bree and Roger?
Yeah, and I'm
Well, then
excited
we
to.
know that time travel is happening this season
Yes.
because there were shots and stills of her in modern clothing.
Yep, yep. That was a good one though. I liked that little reveal because right early on we know there's going to be time traveling, which I think has been driving us a little insane because whether you've read the books or not, you know when time traveling comes into play, things are going to become more complicated.
Well, that's what we're all here for.
This is true.
That, and we're here for Scotland.
I was here for the kneecaps, but it's okay if you're there for
Well,
Scott.
yes, that's what Diana was here for. She always says the idea of a man in a coat she thought was very fetching, as she says.
Yes, yes. I can't. I cannot disagree. My husband has a kilt that my mother made for him, and he's worn it, and he has very nice kneecaps. I enjoy his kneecaps. Everybody, if you can, get your man to get his kilt because kneecaps are good.
I don't know. Well, have you heard what Diana? Somebody asked her what so German publisher, I think, or uh, a press. You've heard that what she told him.
Yes, yes, yes.
She's so outrageous sometimes.
You know what? But it's not a bad outrageous. She's not crude or anything. She's just saying,
No, no,
this is
no.
why I'm doing things the way I am, and if you read the books, you know.
Yeah. So the book has tried to change those things, though they did not really change the bad timeline on the Frank, on the Blackjack
Yeah.
Frank uh, timeline, or for the ancestor. He needed to be alive later than, but it doesn't matter. Like I said early on, I just decided that I just turn it off, and if I turn it off, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine. Excuse me.
Are
Oh
there
golly.
well, since you came on right on time, we could steal about an extra 10 minutes. I do have a question for you, as you've read the books first and then saw the series. I know that a lot of people said Sam didn't look like Jamie in the books, and Katrina didn't look like Claire in the books. And I think we all know how and why, but we've all accepted it because they're really great at telling the stories. Are there any characters that you personally think just was like could be cast better and you have a different actor in mind you think who could have done better or matched the characterization better?
No, I have some that I think were born to play
Okay.
certain parts.
Okay.
Um, 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 Ned, the actor that plays Ned Gowan,
Oh yes,
he was
he's
born to play that role.
Bill Paxton. If I
Bill
recall,
Patterson. Bill
Patterson. Thank
Patterson.
you. And he is fantastic. He's so fun in that part.
I know, and I hope they're going to have him in again. When you're making a TV series over a series of years, sometimes the the previous actor's not going to be available when you need to film. Like
This is
I
true.
understand they've had to recast Jenny, and that's unfortunate. But um, can't think of her name.
Oh, oh, it's left me too. The original actress.
Yeah,
I
original Jenny.
we all know who she is. What do you have to say about that?
She's become so hot on
Yes.
stage that I mean she doesn't have time for this piddly little TV show anymore.
Well, and it's funny though because Lauren Lyle, Marsley, she's done 3 projects, including Outlander, in the past year and a half ish. Vigil, Karen Peary, Karen Peary. I'm still not going to say it right. And then Outlander. And Karen has gotten such good accolades that she's going back for another season. So she's going to be doing Outlander and Karen. I can't see her saying, no, I'm just not going to be Marsley anymore. She enjoys it too much.
Which oh, and she's perfect.
She really is.
Um, I just I loved it when she stuck that needle in God, I can't think of anything.
That's okay. Robert Brown?
No,
No, that's the other guy, but the
not
brother,
Robert.
the other one.
You know who I mean.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we all know. Even if we can't come up with all the names right off we know who we're talking about.
I have taken no such oath.
And I love it when Jamie does that too. My lady cannot hurt anybody. Let's all go to town.
Yeah,
Leave no survivors.
yeah. Um. Anyway, so what more do you want to know about the early days?
You
Oh,
know, I thought it was really cool that there was a group, a fandom, like you said, the Lollybrook ladies, was it?
Ladies of Lallybroch.
Ladies of Lollybrook. I think that is so cool that we don't think about it as much as we do now that there are these huge fan groups that get together, like for instance with the conventions, or that we're able to easily discuss things. Now, I didn't even think about the chat rooms from years ago. That was first how we were able to, from all over the world, get together and discuss a fandom we loved. And I think it was really cool that you were able to kind of take us back to that, where we were able to chat with our author and maybe not even know it.
No, no, we knew she was there.
I
I
wouldn't
mean,
have.
there were like people who were administrators who were feeding her the questions.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't just like she was in a chat room.
Well, that would have
And
been cooler, but that's all right. I'll let it go.
yeah, no, yeah, yes. Um, but then um, that was there weren't very many Outlander fan sites until the TV show, and then it just exploded.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. There's a lot more people who openly sit and watch TV than openly sit and read a book.
Well, and that's the other thing you were talking about. Diana said that she hasn't had any obsessive fans because you had to be pretty stable mentally to be able to read and get through those books. That's changed, I think, since the TV show. It doesn't take as much mental energy and
It, I completely agree with you. And I'm also still really glad that they made the television series. One, because I probably would not have found the books otherwise. Most books like that I'm introduced to by my parents half the time. And two, because I had a really great conversation with my dad about Outlander and how a character like Lord John would be difficult to have gotten away with, honestly, 30 years ago as opposed to now, with him being homosexual and the difficulties he has maneuvering through society like that. Not like that, but in a time like that. So,
well, and that's another thing. Diana was very out there in the 90s when she wrote this, not openly, but gay character, and who Jamie could be such fast friends with
yeah.
after what could you know she says she calls Blackjack an equal opportunity abuser. She doesn't consider him gay.
No, he's not gay. When somebody's like that, it has nothing to do with sex, it has to do with power.
Yeah.
I think we both know
I
that,
still
being women of the world.
I still think that there's some backstory to him that we haven't gotten yet. and that I think we might.
It would be interesting to see how he and his brother turned out so completely different as far as
Yeah,
their, what they thought
yeah.
of people. Well, Bev, I'm gonna have to sign off here in a few minutes. I want to give you an opportunity to say anything that you might like to about Outlander or anything really, since you were nice enough to come and join me for our celebration of a year through no new episodes of Outlander. See how happy I am?
It's hard to believe, but at least we have the promise that it's coming in a little bit more than a month. So that's not too bad. And I
Yes.
know you'll keep going, but I really mean it when I say you've helped me get through this.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how I got through the other Outlanders without a weekly pick me up, shall we say.
Well, you read the books over and over again.
Well, yeah, but by the time the TV show came, I had already read those books,
That's true.
those early books, multiple times.
Well, I will keep trying to give something interesting, make something interesting each week between hand. I'm hoping to do reviews of the episodes as they come out, but it is during the summer and we are planning some family vacations, so my content over the next few months could be a bit sporadic.
That's okay. I'll be happy if you're just um, back for Droughtlander.
Oh, okay, I will do my best to do that.
That'll be the next to last Droughtlander.
Yeah.
Because there'll be another Droughtlander between 7 and 8, the end of 7 and 8.
Well, and then the middle of 8 because they're making that a two-parter. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing this for another couple of years, it looks like.
They're making 8 a two-parter with only 10 episodes or 8 episodes.
Well, wait. No, I'm
it's
thinking of with two
seasons.
parts of 7, so there'll be the first part of 7, and then a
Yeah.
Droughtlander, and then another part of 7, and then a Droughtlander, and then 8, and then a forever Droughtlander. And I don't know that I'm up to doing forever, so we'll have to see how that
No.
goes.
Yeah, I don't expect you to do it forever. I mean, Droughtlander is obviously in the expectation that there's going to be more.
True. Well, and with Diana, you never know. You never know.
Well, she's getting up there too.
Well, yeah, but they're going on to Blood on My Blood. So I'm gonna have to come up. We're gonna have to come up with another name. Anyway, I am running out of time, and I don't want to cut you off in the middle of a conversation. Thank you so much, Bev, for joining me. Thank you to my viewers who have shown up every week for the past year and cried with me in a corner about the fact that there's nothing new in Outlander to talk about. But I will see you again next week. There may be another special later on this week with another video. And I'm still letting my shoulder heal. Thank you so much. Those are my last words. And I'm going to call this the end of the video, but my time hasn't run out yet, so let's all sing a song. No. We can't sing happy birthday because there's a copyright thing. Or I would sing happy birthday to Sam.
How can that copyright still be going on happy birthday?
I have certain versions I'm allowed to use in my videos, and then I'm not allowed to use anything. Like, I don't think I'm allowed to sing it. They can ding me for copyright because I don't own the rights to happy birthday. Possibly.
That's bizarre.
I'm not taking any chances because I think this went well.
I just heard the other day that the government has been keeping the patent on or the copyright on Mickey Mouse alive for the Disney Corporation.
But it's going to run out soon, and then I'm going to put a big Mickey on the front of my channel, even though they have nothing to do with Mickey. I'm going to have t-shirts. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Thank you, Bev. I will talk to you another time.
Okay, because there's so much more.
Sure.
Message me if you... not nearly enough.
Well, maybe we can do this another time in next month.
That would be great. And okay. Now that I know how to do it, I'm willing to do it anytime because I mostly just sit here and I watch a lot of YouTube. What can I say? educational YouTube.
I
It,
appreciate it.
progressive news and things where I'm learning something.
YouTube
So,
is great for that.
oh, wonderful.
I learned to make videos on YouTube.
I don't doubt that. I
All right,
don't
well,
doubt it.
I am going to sign off because our time is about off and I don't want to cut you off. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
have a minute and a half left.
And I'm afraid it's going to cut out because we start talking and we're not going to. It's as bad as talking with my sister. We'll just start talking and talking and.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about something like that later when we have more time.
Well, we'll save it. We'll talk about maybe doing something at the end of May. All right.
That would be great.
All right. Thank you for joining us. If you are a member, hit me up if you'd like to join us next time. And happy birthday, Sam, and happy survival of week 52.